dance for joy or lust or
So welcome to Sensible Secondhand Classics, the series where we look at cars that are over 15 years old that you can buy for budgets of between £1,000 and £5,000, and we put them through their paces. This is a 1991 MG Maestro 2 litre, not an EFI because there weren't badges for that at this stage, but effectively it is just like that. And is it the best Maestro ever? Well, we'll find out, won't we? So the MG Maestro actually was launched along with all the other Maestro variants that were available at the start in March 1983. At that point though, they didn't have a 2 litre engine in them. They had a 1.6 R series engine. I could say many things about the R series engine. I think the word terrible sort of comes to mind. It was prone to the carb to ice up and things like that, and about a million other things wrong with it, so they didn't last very long. It was a modified E series engine actually that had been used in the Allegro and the Maxi, and that developed 103 horsepower. The S series, which was a little bit of a better development of that 1.6 engine, came along in July 1984, and it didn't stay with the MG very long. It actually only stayed with it until October 84. So the S series engine MG Maestros are extremely rare. I've heard stories, and I don't know if this is even true, that all the R series engine Maestros were sort of recalled and they put S series engines in them, but you might know better about that than I do. In October 84, the 2 litre EFI MG Maestro was launched, and that developed 115 horsepower. I must say, sliding this car through the slalom and on this very short little circuit we have, the Great British Car Journey, is absolutely brilliant. The Maestro actually has a very good chassis. It's certainly far better than a lot of the things around, like the Mark III Escort springs to mind immediately. And of course these cars have rattles, this dashboard's been rattling and everything like that, but it's really nice, particularly with this Honda PG1 gearbox, which was only used in the Maestro on the 2 litre models. The 1.6 and 1.3 models actually only had a Volkswagen gearbox, and it's alright. I've used it in plenty of Maestros. In fact, this is like the 5th or 6th Maestro I've actually had on the channel. In fact, my grandfather had 5 or 6 of them himself. So if you want to drive grandfather's car, well, I've already done it. I'm doing it again today, so that's good. I forgot to say, viewers, that yes, the craziest Maestro of all was the turbo version, and that developed 152 horsepower. They were only sold for a few years. I think it was like 88 to 90, I think they were sold. It's something like that. They're very rare now, and they cost a lot of money. But yeah, if you want to know what torque steer is, try one of those. Viewers. Well, viewers, this should be the very best Maestro of them all. 1991 MG Maestro 2 litre. It's not even badged as an EFI by this stage. Right at the end, which is I think the last year of production was late 91, early 92. These were discontinued. Just badged as a 2 litre. Fantastic later MG Maestro stroke Montego stroke Metro style wheels, very similar to the ones on the 216 GTI as well, which is also being made at this time. Fabulous rear spoiler, and just all the sort of little touches that came in throughout the Maestro's life to make this look as contemporary as possible. The only way I suppose you could improve on this would be to get the turbo version, but those are really rare now, and certainly not in Sensible Secondhand Classics territory. I think though you can still pick up a 2-litre MG Maestro for under £5,000. I'm pretty sure that you still can. Maybe soon you won't be able to though. See if the boot actually opens. Yes. Hopefully the struts aren't knackered like they are in so many Maestros. Oh, ooh, no, they're fine. Excellent. Viewers, I am very, very happy about that. So many Maestros, I have to hold the boot up myself. Otherwise it falls on my head and I get unhappy. So we look under the carpet here. Oh, there's a little handle. And yes, a full-size alloy spare with an Austin Rover logo, although at this stage, of course, Austin Rover was dead and it was a Rover group. Boot light is working, speakers are in here, parcel shelves here. What a fabulous car. And yes, I know, I have filmed an MG Maestro 2-litre EFI before. That was the car that was used in Flipping Bangers. I didn't realise at the time. I filmed that at Summit Garage in Dudley in May 2021. I didn't even drive it because I wasn't insured, so I couldn't. This one though, I'm allowed to drive here at Great British Car Journey. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity. Classic colour for these with you know, all the MG sort of trimming in here. Unfortunately, unlike the MG Maestro, which I have driven an example of, is similar to this. It was an 89, I think. We don't get red seatbelts, but never mind. We can have all sorts of other things instead, which is brilliant. Dashboard isn't cracked, which is amazing for one of these. Fog lights, rear heated window, stupid controls that only the driver can see. Here are the rear wash wipe controls. Why they didn't just put it on here, I really have no idea. Very strange, but yes, there's the hazard switch with a little caravan symbol in there. That when my grandfather had his enormous number of Maestros, I think it was either 5 or 6 he had, when he used to have lights on, sometimes that would actually flash as well, but for some reason in this car it doesn't, but don't know why. But then we've got the Rover 800 mirror switch that was in Rovers and MGs all the way up till 2005, and this leather trimmed steering wheel and electric windows and all kinds of things. I can't remember if you can actually get a Maestro with 4 electric windows. I think you could. I think the Vanden Plas you could get that. I don't think so in one of these. Lights look like, there we go, little thing here. Whoops, there's the horn. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry everybody. Ashtray in here. And that time is almost correct as well. Excellent. Let's pull that round. Little sort of bit on here with a little rubber insert. A bit like the R8 Rovers as well, that came a little bit after us, and were in production actually by the time that this car was made in 1991. Ooh. My glove box is not opening very well. There we go. It's because we've got so many wires and things in there. As I have said before in a lot of these videos I've been making here today, if you think this video is terrible, then why don't you come here and drive this 2-litre MG Maestro and use the recording equipment to make your own, and you can make it better, can't you? I've always found these interior door handles on the later Maestros that this car definitely dates from after 1986, because this dash was completely new in February 86. The earlier Maestros had a completely different dash. The MGs and Vanden Plas before that, some of them had talking dashes, and of course we've had 2 talking dash Vanden Plas on the channel, viewers, because that's how exciting I am. Yeah, it's a terrible visit here because you only can see it like round here. You can't, if you're driving along, you can barely see. It's a terrible, terrible design. The earlier Maestros didn't have this problem. It's just ever so strange. And we've got the big door pockets as well. We'll go take a seat in the back as well and see how much room there is in one of these cars that hasn't got a saggy headlining, because that's what happens on a lot of these Maestros and Montegos. After a while they get saggy headlining. Right, yes, it's still got the little ashtray in here. Yes, there we go. Of course we have. Right, let's get in. Yeah. Even this headlining's starting to go a bit funny. One of these days, I just want to see a Maestro that doesn't have a destroyed headlining. It would be great, but you know, you can't have everything, can you? Manual sunroof in this car, not an electric one. Windy windows in the back. These very familiar little locking knobs here. No rear armrest, although we get another ashtray on that side too. And this very, very nice sort of upholstery, which was similar again to things which were in the Rover 216s. Particularly the sort of upper models were like this. I prefer a beige leather interior views, and that was available on the later Van den Pla models. I say Van den Pla because that's what the Austin Road publicity material used to say in the 1980s, but you can say Van den Plas or Van den Plas or whatever you want to say. It really doesn't matter that much. Yeah, these grab handles, and very handily you can adjust the height of the seat belts, which is a novel feature when the Maestro came out in 1983. Right, let's have a look at the lovely 2-litre O series injected engine. So here we are, viewers, the wonderful 2-litre O series engine, developing in this case 115 horsepower. Although the EFI does not appear on the outside of the car, we do still have it on the inside. And we've actually got, again, another example of the Austin Rover logo, despite the fact that the company hadn't existed since 1988. But there we go. They do have a cam belt in them, so you've got to make sure that that's been changed. A very free revving engine, actually, the O series. Sometimes the carburettor models of this, and in the Montego you could get this with a carb. On other models, part of the MG, the MG was generally available, especially at this time, with fuel injection. You can sort of fiddle with the carbs and make them go really, really fast if you want to as well, which is just fun. Like all of these old cars, you've got to watch for rust. I mean, they have a pretty bad reputation for it, but they're really, in comparison to like a Mark III or 4 Escort or Mark II Astra, they're no worse really than that. You just got to make sure you check for it. And of course, Maestro did have some terrible build quality issues, as did the Montegos, and that's why really there are not very many of these left. Especially not in this sort of condition. But when you find a nice one, it's definitely worth holding on to it. Right, I think it's time to go for another drive, viewers. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. You couldn't get an automatic version of this. In fact, the automatic Maestros were only with a 1.6 engine and with a 3-speed Volkswagen gearbox. So it's just an absolute joy. It's a fantastic car. The thing was with these is that the rear suspension, which was used in the Maestro, was so well regarded that when they came to develop the R3 version of the Rover 200, they actually modified the car to take a variant of this Maestro rear suspension. The front of those is very similar underneath to the R8, the McPherson truck suspension, but that arrangement continued all the way through until 2005 in the 25, the ZR and the Rover Streetwise, so it obviously was quite well thought out. It's a shame really that this car never quite came to market at the time that it really should have done, which was about 1978, something like that. They took a few years to actually bring it to market in 83 while they discontinued all the other stuff that BL would be making in the 1970s. But by 1991, when this is a pretty old car, it was just really good, particularly in this 2-litre guise, and the Montego's actually matured into a very nice car as well. In fact, I'd probably prefer those over the Maestros, but this will do very nicely. If you want to see an MG Montego, actually, you can come to the Great British Car Journey and have a look if they've got one in here. The only thing you can't do is drive it, whereas with this, you can have a go in this too. So viewers, the MG Maestro 2-litre, is this a car that you should consider as a sensible second-hand classic for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000? Well, you definitely should do. If you can find one that's in really good condition. You might find your budget's a little bit stretched though for something like this, but they are out there. They're just going up in price all the time, like all Maestros actually. You can still buy, you know, a Maestro, maybe a 1.3, something like that, which got an MOT for maybe as little as £1,000, but that is changing very, very rapidly. Something like this, I reckon this car's worth maybe £8,000 to £10,000 in this sort of state. But maybe if you picked up something that's not quite as pristine as this, then you could. You've got to watch for rust. You've got to make sure the cam belt and these engines has been done. You've got to make sure that, you know, things aren't sort of missing and falling off and things like that. But they are just an absolute joy to drive, and I am very, very happy indeed. So thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Thank you to everybody here at Great British Car Journey for letting me have a go in this fantastic car, which you can come here and drive yourself as well if you'd like. And we shall see you again soon for more nostalgic but reasonably priced motoring.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Every blue day, every day with blue skies.